Stéphane Mallarmé, a dice throw at any time never will abolish chance. At any time, even when cast in everlasting circumstances from the depth of a shipwreck, whether the chasm, whitish, full tide, frenzied, down a declivity, desperately glides on a wing, its own, in advance, fallen back from a failure to guide its flight, and covering all the outspurts, cutting off all the surges. Far, far within, recalls the shadow buried in the deep, veiled by this variant sail, to the point of matching the span with its gaping trough like the shell of a ship, listing to this side or that. The master, gone beyond the old reckonings, helmsmanship now forgotten with age, risen, inferring, he used to grip the helm from this conflagration at his feet of the united horizon, that there is in preparation, tossed and blended, in the fist that seeks to grasp it, as you threaten, some destiny and also the winds, the one and only number that cannot be any other, spirit, in order to cast it into the blast, closing the division and passing proudly on, hesitates, a corpse cut off by its arm with the secret it withholds. Rather than play the game like a hoary maniac in the name of the waves, one surges over his head, spills down as a submissive beard, direct shipwreck of man, this, with no vessel, no matter where vain. Ancestrally, not to open his hand, which is clenched, far beyond his useless head, a bequest on his disappearance to someone ambiguous, the ulterior, immemorial demon, having from non-lands led the old man toward this ultimate conjunction with probability. He, his puerile shadow, caressed and polished, and restored and washed, softened by the waves, and set free from the hard bones lost amid the timbers, born from a frolic, the sea attempting via the old man, or the latter versus the sea, an idle chance, nuptials, whose veil of illusion, being splashed back, their obsession, along with the wraith of a gesture, will falter and fall, sheer folly. Never will abolish an utterly lost and lonely quill. Never will abolish, as if a simple insinuation in the silence enrolled ironically, or the mystery hurled down, howled out in some imminent swirl of hilarity and horror, hovers on the brink of the abyss without sprinkling it or escaping, and draws from it the soothing virgin sign, as if an utterly lost and lonely quill, except that a cape of midnight abuts it or grazes it, and fixes on the velvet crumpled by a dark burst of laughter. This rigid whiteness, ridiculous, opposed to the sky, too vividly not to mark in miniature detail whoever a bitter prince of the reef caps himself with it heroically, irresistible, but restrained by his limited reason, manly, in a flash of lightning, anxious, expiatory, and pubescent, mute laughter that, if the lucid and lordly plume of vertigo on the invisible brow shimmers, then overshadows a dim and dainty form, erect in her siren sinuosity, long enough to slap with forked and impatient terminal scales some rock, a false mansion, suddenly dispelled in mists which laid a limit on the infinite. It was the number, a product of the stars, might have existed, except as the fragmentary hallucination of some death these might have begun and ended, seeping out though denied, might have begun and ended, seeping out though denied, and enclosed when manifest eventually, outspread with a certain profusion in a rare state, might have been reckoned, evidence of the total sum, however scant, might have enlightened. It would be no worse, neither more nor less, but as much indifferently as chance. Down falls the quill, a rhythmic suspension of disaster to bury itself in the primordial spray whose frenzy formerly leapt from there to a peak that is blasted in the constant neutrality of the abyss. Nothing of the unforgettable crisis, or else the deed might have been achieved keeping in view every result that is non-human, will have taken place. A common upsurge is shedding absence. Other than a place, a lowly splashing of some kind, as if to scatter the vacuous action at once, which otherwise by its deceit would have established the loss in these indefinite regions of the swell where all reality is dissolved, except on high, perhaps, as far away as a place, merges with the beyond, outside any interest assigned to it, in a general way by a certain obliquity and a certain declivity of flames, toward what must be septentrion as well as north, a constellation cold with neglect and disuse, not so much that it fails to number on some vacant and higher surface the successive impact starrily of a full reckoning in the making, keeping watch, wondering, rolling on, shining and pondering, before finally halting at some last point that sanctifies it. Every thought emits a dice throw.